I'm doing it again. Yeah, it's working. Apparently I need to get a mirror to go behind the camera and then I'll be able to see. Auto assembly. Oh, not talking about toys this time. I've got 30 minutes to do this for two reasons. A, because my camera won't go past 30 minutes. And two, dinner's going to be ready. So there, we're ready to rock and roll. The first thing I'm going to show everyone is, if you can see this, my ticket was 587 dealer. Which is quite funny because I went up with a policeman. Irony. Let me just get that time back up. Just prop that there gently so I can see how long I've been waffling for. Hi, my name is Manu. Yesterday I talked about toys an awful lot, which is great because I love toys. I love toys, and that's all there is to it. But there's so much more, especially to this year's AA. And I didn't talk about whether I enjoyed it or whether it was good or whether it was bad or what I did and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I'd have a little waffle, just for a change. We didn't go on the Friday because I wasn't really going at all, and then circumstances changed, and then people said that I should go, and then it became apparent that there was a really easy way that I could attend. So I decided that I was going with maybe 2 weeks' notice, which was fine. It's no big thing. It doesn't really matter. But it meant I couldn't go on the Friday night because Rob had booked the hotel rooms and that sort of thing, and because he booked, I don't know whether he booked late or whether it was just really busy really early or for whatever reason, but there was no hotel allocation left for the convention. So if we went on the Saturday it was £60, if we went on the Friday it was £160, and it just wasn't worth spending the extra money. So we were going to go up on Saturday morning. Helen the Melon had kicked off at me because I was going, and then absolutely fucking kicked up Blue Murder because she wanted to go. So the plan was, get up Saturday morning, Rob would come to me, we'll do Helen's on the way because it's on the way to the motorway, and then we'll do auto assembly. Except that on the Friday night, we got a knock on the door from the police about someone who used to live in the house that I haven't seen for a long time, with a search warrant, who wanted to come in and talk about stuff, which was great because they came in, they sat in the kitchen, we talked about stuff, they knew that they didn't have to be there, and then they left. But when it's a Friday night and you answer the door to two policemen, your heart tends to pound a little bit. So I didn't get to sleep till 12:30, 1 o'clock, and had to be up at 5:30. So I did the night on like 5 hours sleep basically. But I got up because I was all excited, and I couldn't sleep anyway because I was really looking forward to auto assembly. And I'll be honest with you, I really wanted to do the people this time, so to speak. Yes. I really wanted to do the people this time because last time I went for the toys, and I'll be honest, last time at the Hilton, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. It was segregated and spread out and cliquey, and people were in their groups and doing their thing, and I get that, but what made it extra specially good this year was Swerve's Bar, and that's because it just took everyone and forced everyone to be a bit more together. So I'd made my mind up this year I was going to go up, and the name of the game was People. Pardon me, I'm going to put something for to rest my foot on. The name of the game was People. It was really important that it wasn't just about buying plastic crap, but I was going to go and hang out with cool kids. And this year it was target achieved. This year was the best auto assembly I've been to, and I've been to 4 now, and I had a fucking cracking time. I'd say the only thing that eclipsed this auto assembly, the only thing that was single thing that I've done better at any of the other auto assemblies was watching Greg Berger and Sammy do that script reading at the second one that I went to. That was just crazy. That just blew my brain. But this one was cool. Got picked up by Rob. Everything was cool. The drive up there was super easy. There was no traffic. Everything was hunky-dory. Couldn't sign into the hotel room till 3 o'clock, and we got there about 9:30. So we got there, got in the main hall. That's my phone going bleep. Rob was like a kiddie at Christmas. He was properly excited as well. He hadn't stopped talking about it for absolutely ages. And we had quite a good debate on the way up about why G1's shite and stuff like that, because he really likes G1, and I don't think it's crap, I just don't think it's everything that people crack it up to be. And when we got there, it was rammed and it was hot. And I'd only been there a couple of minutes, and we'd been there 10 minutes and I saw him straight away. So I picked that up, and then I picked a couple of other bits up, and we both walked round, and I met a couple of people and I shook a couple of hands, and I was a bit... When you turn up to AA, it takes a little while to relax. I wish you could like get there at 9:30, sit down, have a pint and just get into the groove of it slowly. But because obviously we were arriving on the Saturday and everyone else was just there, you had to just crack on in. So that's exactly what we did. So I went that way and then said hello to everyone. Went and said hello to old Dave on all the cool stuff, and met up with Rob a couple of minutes ago, and I'm like this. I've just got toys, loose toys under a box and a bag, and I'm just like, and my camera in my hand, and my wrists killing me because I've just had the cast. Like that. It's fucking really awful. And Rob stood there and he's like, oh, because he knew he was going to go straight to Kapow and buy the things that he wanted. So we're both stood there with just armfuls of shit, and we looked at each other and we were like, what are we going to do? So we went straight out to the car, it wasn't a massive walk, but it was enough. It was nice to cool down for 5 minutes, and then once we'd done that, we sort of got back there and we just chilled out. We didn't go back into the main room. We didn't go all crazy for stuff, and I went and just found all the people that I want to talk to. And I met... I'm going to do the people that I've spent a lot of time with, but I met a shitload of people and had a just amazing time. But there was Stu the Mighty Grimlock, Ed Bumblejumper, who is genuinely the happiest man on YouTube, and I did say to him that you are the happiest man on YouTube, and he's quite happy with that. He had a green Auto Assembly t-shirt on, and who else? Met Jim and Rob the Fallen 835. Don't take this the wrong way, Rob the Fallen 835, but when you watch Rob the Fallen 835 on YouTube, he looks like a 14-year-old. He just looks like a boy sat there loving his robots, talking about shit. That's great. I love that. When you meet him, he's like a fucking basketball player. He's 9 foot tall. He's 11 foot tall. And he's absolutely nothing like you expect him to look like on YouTube. I mean, and I was just like, you're not you. And he's like, how are you doing? And we met up with Jim. And I didn't really know what to make of Jim, because obviously you see people that are, shall we say, flamboyant and colourful on YouTube, and then often if you meet them in real life, they're not really like that. They have a persona. A bit like I do, sort of, I guess. Jim is just Jim. And we sort of shook hands and how you doing and that sort of stuff. And then we went for another walk round and everyone was sort of separate. And I bought a couple more bits and I just had some fun and talked to some people and sweated a lot because it was bastard hot in there. I must have gone through about 4 t-shirts on the first day. But then we all went for a little sit down. And that was the bit that made auto assembly for me, because on the Saturday it must have been sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock, we're just getting into it. And there's just YouTubers. So there's me and Jim bought me this. And it's part of the story, but it was how the delivery happened. So I sat down, and I didn't expect it to be a big thing. I went and sat and talked to Jim specifically, because we talk a lot on the videos and needed a really good catch up and just start the waffle off. And we had a bit of a mutual gush fest about, I really like your videos, well, I don't really like your videos, and this is why, but that's why, and oh, but it's the same, and oh, that's why I like yours, and it all sort of gelled together very nicely. And he gave me the Dinobot because he's a gentleman. And then I was very aware, very suddenly, that we were the focal point. I mean, I'm loud, Jim's loud, he is loud, but we were very much the focal point, and we had just YouTubers coming in and playing with toys and talking to each other. And Phil was there, Rat25, big up your bad self. He was there, and we were just, Bumble Jumper, and I'm not without the names, because just if you were there, you know who you were. There's a very good photo taken by someone of all the people that were there. I had an absolutely fucking cracking time, and it was obscure, and it was strange, because I'm the least likely person to be the centre of attention at an event like that. Yet at that event, at that specific time, at that place, all I did was walk up to people who had toys that I liked the look of, and stuck my fucking nose in and just went, oh, that looks lovely, can I have a look at that? Oh, and no one cares. People were happy. People want you to do it. They want you to play with their toy, because it's the starting point of the conversation. And I'd never done that before. It'd always been about the clique, my little circle, that sort of thing. And to just have all these randoms, and I say randoms because lots of the people went back and looked me up on Facebook, or I met up with in the evening, and it's because it was a face that you saw, you carried on the conversation from earlier. It was wicked. And it was just a little half-hour spell of the day that was just probably the best part of the whole thing. But after that, we got the hotel rooms, went upstairs, put the stuff in the hotel room. The hotel room was really nice. Double room, one towel. Don't know what that was about. Phone in the toilet. Don't know what that's about. Maybe if you run out of toilet paper, you need to phone up for some more really urgently or something like that. Not sure. Befuddled me. Put a thing on Facebook, everyone seemed to think it was really hilarious. And that's how we spent the rest of the day. Talking to people. I spent hardly any money on the first day. I bought the bits that I knew that I really wanted, but all I really got was Ramjet off the Bubbaloo, who's very different now, and Silas, who I've been spelling him wrong in all the posts that I've made because it's CI, not SY, and Bulky, first edition, who I am genuinely beautifully in love with, because it's just why they made that other Voyager piece of tat when this exists, I just don't know. Anyway, general running around, had a couple of drinks, it was all good. Went to the Swerves bar and had some food. Went to the conversation with a man whose name I can't remember about how to draw the IDW stuff and the genesis of how they did a lot of the stuff. And while I don't really care about the comics, I love the art, because I did art when I was at college, I did it at school, did it at college, art, did 4 years of it, wasted the whole fucking lot. But I love art, not necessarily Transformers art, but just good art. I love all of it. And it was really interesting listening to how I had everything topsy-turvy in my head, in that I thought Hasbro went, this is the toy that we've got, now make your comic look like the toy. It's not like that at all. It was suggested that this is the kind of the aesthetic that we're going for. Then they would go and make the comic book characters, and then they would literally do as much as they could to build toys around the comic. And it was real 50-50 it was very much a two-way street between the artists and Hasbro, which I found really interesting. The slides that were on there, he was quite interesting. Monkey asked a whole ton of questions, and I did say to him, "Did you enjoy that?" Because monkey. And he did say that because he was worried that it was going to be really quiet in there, by Jim opening his gob and asking the questions, once he'd asked one or two, no one else felt nervous about asking the question, and the guy that was up there felt an awful lot more comfortable because he kind of gauged the way it was going to go. And then we went on to the podcast panel, which was interesting because I talk a lot. And I've said to Matt that I'm going to try and get involved more with the podcasty stuff, because he did tell me that I do have a wonderful face for radio. You cheeky fucker. But yeah, I did the Star Trek thing with Matt. Really liked it. I've done a couple of things. I did the Optimus Prime thing with KP, and I love it. But my concentration span is A, shit. And B, let me just check the time to make sure I'm not burning anything to death. 15 minutes. I talk a lot, but I don't read the comics. I'm not really big into the fiction. I'm a toy monkey. I like it. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was really nice listening to people talk about something they love in a place that they love at a time when it's appropriate. I think that's why auto assembly is amazing, because it's just this little 48-hour break from reality where you can talk about the things that you want to talk about with people that want to hear it. So we sat there for an hour. It was funny because Matt got Jim and Rob up the front, and I've got a photo of Jim with his head in his hands, and Rob sat there right up the other end of the table, about as far as you can get, with his back against the wall, as if to say, "I'm really happy to be here, but what the fuck's going on?" And it's nice because they gave, not only did they give sort of a shout out to the Iconic Reviews. I've not gone and had a look at what they've got with regards to cool stuff and where they are on the internet and that sort of thing. I will do. I'm going to do it this evening, if not tomorrow morning. But it was nice that after that, I know they both had conversations with some very relevant people about what their plans are and what they're going to do, and it was obviously quite a good springboard. Then we started getting pissed, which was great, and we went down to the cosplay competition, which was doubly great, because firstly, the room that we had the cosplay in was ginormous. Dave and Billy were really, really good at just being that bridge between the crowd and the contestants and the sound system and the big screen that was up there. They just worked very well together. The cosplay was really, really good. The costumes were really, really good. Bludgeon was amazing. Grimlock was amazing. The young lady that's there every year, but was Oil Slick. I like the character of Oil Slick. The toy's amazing. So to see it sort of brought to life with the proper clear head and everything was really, really good. But more importantly than that, the people that we were sat with brought some toys with them. There were toys floating about on the table. There were people dotted around here, there and everywhere. One of the lads that was sat opposite us did the wheelchair mode on the Sandstorm toy, which made me laugh. And you're having a couple of drinks and you're just chilling out. And it was good because there was no barriers, there was no walls that were put up. You weren't defensive about anything. No one was you could just play with other people's toys and they weren't thinking that you were stealing them. And you could clap loudly, and because I'm sort of the raver in me that's spent the last sort of 20 years in nightclubs, can whistle really loud. And you whistle when the cheers were massive when the people came down. And then it was karaoke afterwards, which didn't really go off so well. But it was to the bar, Batman, and it was drinking. And I got drunk. And Rob got drunk. I don't think Rob got quite as well as I did, because I think I've just had a bit more practice at getting drunk. And then after all the socialising and all the lovely, went up to Razatron's room, where we must have sat for a good half hour drinking honey Jim Beam. He mentioned that he liked bourbon. We all know that I love Jack Daniels. So I went, oh, I love bourbon. Just love it. And we went up there and played with the Auto Assembly exclusive toys, which I'm really disappointed I didn't get, but could never have afforded, because for £100 for those two, it's just... the toys would have to be an awful lot better to be worth the £100. And got pissed and drank bourbon with cherry coke and a fair amount of it. And just talked about... because obviously Raz is one of the ones that sort of stands out at these events, because... you got roll out, roll call, and you got Facebook, and you got all that sort of stuff. But I'm just always very conscious that for Raz to come over and do what he does every year makes the dedication that I put in to get in there look like a load of old shit. And I got a lot of respect for him, because it can't be cheap. And I know he's had a world of shit go on at home. So to come over here for that little week break every now and again, and definitely next year, if we get there on the Friday, I'd like to get there quite early on the Friday and just spend some time getting pissed with Raz. And, you know, everyone else that's around and that sort of thing. Which was good. And then we woke up on Sunday feeling like shit, because I got to bed at, must have been about 1:30. I think Rob said he was in bed by midnight. And I was really worried that when I was going to get in, I was going to wake him up and all that sort of stuff. And Rob just sat there and went, I think I've spent the last half hour shitting myself. He was pissed. We just made a mess. And we were both awake by 8:30. And instead of sitting there whining like old buggers because we both felt sick and horrible, we just talked for about an hour. And I think we both wanted to be down at breakfast for 9. And we talked so much, I looked at my clock and it was like 10 to 9. And I don't think either of us had had a shower or anything like that. We just sat chewing the cud, talking about toys, talking about sort of life, the universe and everything. Which was absolutely exactly what the doctor ordered. I've been charging my PlayStation controller. So then we went down, breakfast. Same problem as last year in that the bacon was so salty it burnt my mouth and sort of spoilt the rest of the day a little bit, because everything after that just tasted like salty bacon. But then they just put a load of new stuff in there. I ate a shitload for breakfast, because although this year it's not a problem because the food is better, because Swerves is really good. Simon and Trish, Swerves is very good. You must do it next year. It makes a huge difference. Just to have everyone congregate in one place instead of everyone a bit shy and sitting on their own, which was a lot better. And then I promised I wasn't going to spend a whole fortune, and then fucking lost it. And I don't think I spent an awful lot of money, but I just saw lots of individual little bitty bits that really made me want them. Which means I came back, as you've all seen from the haul, I came back with a really good haul, but didn't spend a massive amount of money, because I didn't run around looking for the latest stuff. I looked for stuff I specifically looked for stuff that just made me smile, as opposed to stuff that's good for the collection or tactical buy-in because you know you're going to keep playing with it or whatever, which was definitely the way to go. That's why, Nick Snowden, the true phantasm. I specifically went to Nick's stand towards the end of the day because I wanted to sort of represent blood. Yeah, because I wanted to buy some off his stall, because you got to put some, when people make the effort that you know and that you've had sort of dealings with before, you've got to go and do that. So me, Helen and Rob were just hung over and moped around. Which Helen was fucking hanging, which was hilarious. I think she was sick a few times. And that's all. Silly ass. And then that's when the Blue Dragon young lady came over, and I got told off by her because I did the impression of... And she was like, I was not that squeaky in the reply, which made me laugh. And her friend said that she isn't little, and she wasn't wearing any medical signs on her at all. It just turned out we were both a bunch of hungover people. But But now she's looked me up on Facebook and we've had a bit of a conversation. And I like that. I want people to meet. I want to meet other people and do that to them. I want them to meet me. And then next year, the little ball of people in the gang gets bigger. And that's what I really enjoyed. And it was, I think it was Ed Bumble. Is it Bumble Jumper 82? The happiest man on YouTube. He mentioned while we were all sat together, and it was nice to have it appreciated while we were there, how good it is to have this little circle of people. And it was mentioned that me and Jim seem to kind of be the boss of it. But how good it is to have this little congregation of people that feel comfortable enough to sit and do what they... Because when you are an adult toy fan, it's very difficult to have that conversation with people, because proper people, normal people, just couldn't give a fuck. And it was really nice that just for that little moment of time, we all knew how special it was. It's like when I went to the very first auto assembly, and there was me and Johnny and Bubs and Luffy and Brad and loads of people all sat in, I think it was Luffy and Bubs' hotel room, and I've got a photo on my Facebook from like 4 years ago of me wearing a bright pink shirt when I'd lost all my weight, looking sexy, but playing toys, and it's the first time I'd done it, and I'd not really had that little connection until we all got together. And it was nice to, I had a really good chat with Brad and Luffy at the bar, and it was nice to catch up with Bubs again because he sort of disappeared for a little while, and it was really good just to get back on an even keel with everyone. This year's auto assembly was my best auto assembly that I've had, and I've been to 4. And I'll be honest, I think with the friends that I made this year, and extending that circle of friends with Stu and Ed, and there's another young Simon, I think his name was, that I spoke to on Facebook for a little while, and it can only get better. It can only get better, because then you maintain that relationship even though it's at a distance for a little while, and then next year those people that you were really comfortable with and you know are already in your little circle of friends, and your little circle will get bigger and bigger every time we go. I loved it. It was superb. And I have had absolutely horrific AA blues, because it's just such a culture shock to go, people, nothing. And it's weird. And shout to Primus 1983 Baz, who's a fucking gentleman. And I've only I spoke to him a little while about doing some podcasty stuff, because Logan Blaze wasn't very well, and I was going to try and take over some of his bits. And he's selling me some of his he's selling off some of his collection. That's who I bought the Demolisher off. Rampage. Bought Rampage off him. And I'm going to get a Grimlock and a Galaxy Force Metroplex, which is just the weirdest but most amazing toy. It's a big shouts to him, because he turned up very late in the day, and he's just the most welcoming, self-confident man in the world. And you don't get to do that. I don't get to say that very often, to be honest with you. It just is this magical 48-hour stretch once a year in August. Don't forget it's my birthday soon. Buy me some presents. This has been SMS number 1, or Smurs No, and I'm really enjoying being called Smurs, because as we had a discussion the other day, it's just ended up being my name. It's not something that I chose, and I love it for that. Take care, look after yourselves, and to everybody that I met at Auto Assembly, you're all fucking awesome.